it certainly seems like Hayden Sanger is going to be the opening day backup catcher for the New York Mets. And there's been some discussions between you and I in our chat that maybe the Mets would look for a guy that was in a similar spot to where Luis Perez was last year, where he was maybe the third or fourth guy on the depth chart who might have had an opt out, and they might go that route. But at least from reading between the lines and whatnot, like we talked about with some of the roster transactions over the last 48 hours, it seems like Hayden Sanger is going to get the first crack at being the backup catcher, and well deserved, in my opinion. The guy is a tremendous defender, as we've talked about on this podcast, and just to maybe for to calm people's nerves about, well, maybe he's not this great offensive player. Well, he went deep yesterday in their game against the Astro or the Nationals, so maybe that calms the people's nerves. But a 24th round pick in 2018, they don't even have 24 rounds in the draft anymore. He was the 710th overall pick out of Miami of Ohio, and uh, like I talked to you about it, the guy's a grinder. He survived numerous different regimes. Like he was just Sandy Alderson was still running the show when he was drafted. So that's how long ago Hayden Sanger was drafted. 27 years old, um, and just a great story. I think whether he plays a whole lot, I don't know, but no, it's a great story and a guy that's grinded through the minors, and he was hanging around the team last year during the postseason. So he's familiar with the guys and whatnot, and no, just really happy for Hayden Sanger. It's very well deserved.
Well, I don't have to add anything to that. No, great. I think the Mets made the right decision there with the options they have in house. Hey, if you look at what probably is going to happen, I think we're going to see Luis Torrens obviously a lot of the time, maybe once or twice a week. We see Hayden Singer depending on the schedule we have. Um, and for that role, you need a good defender. And I think this spring showed that Hayden Sanger is the best defender out of the three. I think we were already aware that Hayden Sanger was probably the best defender out of the three guys. And I think we also said it in the previous podcast that defense is for us the main thing at that backup catcher spot. Um, he showed it. He did well. He even got a little bit of offense, but I wouldn't say that his spring offensively was anything to write home about. But so were in Jackson Reeds, and so were in Chris Williams. Chris Williams offensively had a little bit of a better spring, but it's by far of the three, I think, the worst defender. So Jackson Reeds was for me the only real competition. Jackson Reeds didn't really hit well besides that one Grand Slam. So if you put all those things together, go with the better backup, go with the better defender, and that's Hayden Sanger. And we heard on the broadcast, I think Anthony DiComo wrote an article about Hayden Sanger, a guy who's still working at Whole Foods in the off season to get some extra money in. So obviously we are rooting for a guy who's been with the organization for, like you said, now 8 years. It's the 8th year that since he's drafted in 2017, uh, stayed as a Met, and now finally is gonna most likely make his major league debut in the next couple of weeks. So good for Hayden.